everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kelly and Andy McPhee.
Yeah, for sure. So you went to a university in Sydney to act, I believe?
I did. That was with NIDA, so the National Institute of Dramatic Art. I didn't go to Sydney. I actually did that in Melbourne. So fortunately, because they're quite a large organisation, they have some outshoots of their program that run in Melbourne. And that was actually the catalyst for me moving to Melbourne in the first place. So I applied for it was the Actors Studio because I was 20 at this point, or 19, and I wanted to be with like the slightly older people, whereas the Young Actors Studio was like 16 to 20-year-olds. So I'd auditioned for that. I'd gotten in, which was, very affirming for me as a young actor, being like, oh my God, someone actually thought I was okay. Like I think 300 people auditioned for this, and I think only about 20 got in. So that was like that first thing of like, oh, okay, maybe I actually have some talent. Like that's a good, start. And they ended up offering me a place in the Young Actors Studio, which I ended up being very grateful for. So that was one day a week on a Sunday for all of the year, and then we put on a performance at the end of it. So I learned a lot of really good things in that. It definitely sort of set me up well for success and for studying further beyond that.
Got it. What was the process for your studies? Did it include actual participation in plays, or was it just writing and tests?
So for the NIDA program, that was all very practical based. So each term we did sort of a different aspect of it. So I think term one was like theatre analysis, Stanislavski, that kind of thing. Term two, I believe, might have been a bit of film, on-screen stuff. I actually cannot for the life of me remember what the other term is. And then the last term, we sort of put on a performance. So that one was very practical based. And then when I went to university, so I studied a Bachelor of Performing Arts at Monash University, that one was definitely probably more theory-based than I anticipated it would be, but still had a lot of practical elements. It was sort of a running joke in my first year because I lived on campus at college, and I came home from my first day of uni, and all of the engineering students were like, and there's a lot of people in my lectures, and we just sort of sat here and learnt that, and I was like, oh, we rolled around on the floor, because it's an acting class, and you're gonna warm up, and you're gonna do character work and animal work, so that was always quite a fun comparison to what everyone else was studying. But then there was a lot of theory involved, particularly in the back sort of couple of years, which I didn't necessarily enjoy as much. I think it was useful to have, but for me, I wanted to learn more of the, learn a skill and then apply the skill, rather than learn something about, the history of theatre and then write an essay on it. So my favourite parts of my degree were definitely the practical classes, and then we did do a performance element each year. So my first year we did a Chekhov mashup thing with a director who'd graduated a couple of years prior, and he's got incredibly cool vision, and I really liked working with him. And then in my second year I was very fortunate. We did a musical theatre unit, and I'd sort of grown up doing musicals because that's what our town offered, but we actually got to write our own musical theatre based on Aesop's Fables. So that was just a really, really cool experience, and I really enjoyed it.
That's nice. What was your musical about that you made?
What was what, sorry?
What was the musical you made, and what was it about?
Oh, yeah, so it was based on Aesop's Fables, which is a collection of short stories. That's the one that has the tortoise and the hare and those sort of ones, those ones that sort of tell a message. Evidently there's a whole bunch of them which I didn't even know about. So we basically read a bunch of those, broke into small groups, and then got to write songs based on those. And then we just had a collection of those that we put together with the songs and basically told the story through it. So yeah, it was very cool.
That reminds me of my 8th grade year, towards the end of it. I just remember that there was a point where me and my fellow students had to write basically a screenplay based on kids' stories, you know, like classic ones like The Three Pigs, The Three Bears, and all that.
Yeah.
We had to come up with our own version of it, and I wrote my own version of The Three Billy Goats Gruff, you know that one?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But instead of using goats, I used pigs. And what was interesting was the commitment by the school was that they were going to put those plays on for everybody. And the thing was, the one that I wrote, which I titled The Three Little Pigs Pork, by the way, I wrote it so good that they said it was the best play out of everyone that submitted. But they weren't going to put it on because apparently they thought that mine was taken so seriously, like a Jet Li, you know, Brendan Fraser like thing, you know, where it would not have been PG. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. That's great. Look at you showing your talent so young.
Yeah, so it was just my interpretation of the story was just so good that it was more like for teens and adults than for that age, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise they would have put it on.
Yeah, that's so cool. I tell you what, maybe you need to do have a resurgence now that you're an adult and you've got the right audience for it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll actually turn out better than the previous one if I put my creativity into it.
Oh, absolutely.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.